cars are the only object maybe in my life that become me when I'm with it.
The Supreme Court also wants clean air. Everybody wants clean air, but that doesn't mean you penalize everybody by the same yardstick.
And then suddenly yesterday again it has come back, and now they want the entire NCR to come into this whole thing. I mean, how does that make sense?
Does it still apply to government vehicles, or are government vehicles still...
So that means the government is penalizing the common man
Exactly.
because
Who-
it cannot curb corruption at their end.
All the curtains of my old house have been made into bags, which my wife takes shopping
Yes.
and uses her own bags for shopping.
All the neighboring states, the rest of India is coming to Delhi. Dealers
Buying
from
the cars.
across the country are coming here, picking up these vehicles, going there, making money like crazy.
What a user gets for his vehicle.
Supreme Court judges का क्या होता है? They drive in say a diesel Mercedes, but they can order a new one every 10 years, saying this is 10 years, you scrap this.
Hello and welcome to this very, very special episode of Connecting Rod, where we are talking about scrappage again. But this time we're going to talk about the seesaw that is living in Delhi when you love cars and have a 10-year-old or 15-year-old petrol or diesel vehicle. And you're probably scratching your head as to what to do. So today we're going to try to unpack the policy, unpack the sentiment around it. And before we jump into this episode of the podcast, let me introduce my guest for today. Sitting on my right is Kamlesh Singh, news director at India Today. We all know him as news director. You probably know him as Taal from Taal. And on my left, of course, is editor Auto Today, Yogendra Pratap. And finally, I don't think any podcast is complete without Rahul Ghosh,
And old
associate editor at Auto Today. So let's not waste any more time. Kamlesh sir, we'll start with you. We loved your article, which was a commentary on the policy and what it was like to experience being enforced by these laws. Can you unpack your sentiments around it?
Not an article, just an emotional outburst of someone who will not be immediately affected by this. I have a 6-year-old diesel car. It still has 4 years to go. But I love cars in the sense that cars are the only object maybe in my life that become me when I'm with it.
Yeah, we are all passionate about cars to the same extent. We understand how you feel about cars. So it can be very emotional for people.
Yes. So replacing a car may be just, for some people it might be just a matter of money. For me, it's an emotional thing because when I drive about 70 kilometers every day to work and back. I do not drive it consciously. And I really do not know how the time passes. I do keep my eyes open and on the road, but I do not make any movements at all. That everything is voluntary. And I think the car does it itself. So you are in sort of a rhythm with the car. Your feet move, your hands move.
The car is an extension of you.
Yes. The car becomes you. And then suddenly somebody says, okay, fine, this car is now not qualified to be on the roads. Well, it's a living being for me. So when the order came, I could empathize with like thousands of people who own
Including
cars, who take really good care, who really, really care for them, get them serviced on time, keep pollution in check, according to the standards that are in practice right now. And they treat the car as a member of the family. And I had written about somebody naming the car. Actually, in my household, the first car had a name.
What is your present car's name?
This one does not have a name. So, I mean, it's called Tiguan and I call it Tiguan. But honestly, the first one had a name. Not Rajjo, but
Yes.
Eli.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's how you like the cars. You generally, if there is a small dent, you feel hurt. There is a scratch, you find ways to fix it immediately. So
Where you park it. Once you park it, have you
Yes.
turned around?
Yes.
There are a lot of these things which come into
Lots
play
of things,
when
yes.
you're talking about cars and speaking of which.
And kids are playing niche on the
yeah,
road.
yeah, absolutely.
You come down just to
Yeah.
defend your car, sort of, from a stray ball.
So I give this story of this drive I did with the Skoda Octavia RS. I drove to Ladakh in that car, which is a very, very low car. And I drove it right in the beginning of the season when the roads weren't done. So, every season they start doing the roads. So there were rocks on the road, the climb to Barlachala. I was removing all stones, getting out of the car in that altitude, making sure that the car wouldn't touch. And I did this full loop. I went around Ladakh, came back to Dehradun, and after that took the car to the service station to get it cleaned. And these guys took it up on the ramp. So while going up, it went up fine. They washed it and all, and I went to collect the car. And while bringing it down, they reversed it, and the insides of that ramp where the people walk in to clean the car from the underside had a raised side, and that scraped the car. And could hear it and felt this screech go right across my heart as if it was being torn apart, After saving the car throughout
In the thin air of Ladakh.
in the thin air of Ladakh, and then somebody does that to your car, it just, it's right. That sound as
And
felt
it's
as if
not
it's coming
about-
from the heart.
I mean, technically speaking, this situation, it's just a car, right? It's a scratch. Can be rectified. It can never be rectified. It will never ever go back to,
Because you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
because you know. The person
Yeah.
in front might not know, but you know कि उधर scratch लगा था.
True.
उधर चोट लगा था उधर. तो एक बार चोट लग गया तो लग गया ना, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं
My
कर सकते.
point was that, if a family member has a damaged liver because of a lot of drinking and all that, do you consider the person's, if this is the end of life, or you get a liver transplant?
Or you just say that after 10 years, everybody has to die. I mean,
Yes.
Euthanasia.
matlab, whether you are fit, fine, you're
Absolutely.
contributing, not contributing, a drain to society, whatever it is, in whatever kind of a society, you just decree
Yeah.
that everybody whose male dies at 10 or female dies at 15. I mean, what kind of a law and logic is that? Fine, we all agree. Pollution has to be controlled.
True.
Air quality is pathetic in the country, and we should all do whatever we can. Encouraging electric cars, very good. But at the same time, you set standards. Whatever technology, whatever fuel meets those standards to keep the air quality good, I mean, should be acceptable. Why do you have to decree that you can't drive this more than this, even though it might be? So there was this very good example that the Mercedes global CEO had come to, or MD had come to India, and at this time this talk was going on about banning diesel cars and all, and he said, today, if you measure the air quality of the air that's going into the car and what is coming out of my diesel car's exhaust, the exhaust gases will be cleaner than what is going in. Then what is going in?
Yes.
So, I mean, actually, my car is cleaning the atmosphere.
And that's a
not
diesel car
polluting
he's
it.
talking about. We are not even getting into CNG,
So-
petrol and all those things.
So, my first problem is that the government has to be technology agnostic. So, you set standards. If you want zero pollution, if any of the technologies can give you that zero pollution, then okay, use that. Otherwise, whatever it is you set, and let the manufacturers come up with technologies now. I mean, the diesel cars are very, very clean. They are not the polluting animals that they used to be way back. Number one. Number two, the maintenance of cars, right? I mean, some people hardly drive the cars. They're as good as new. They'll be polluting very little as opposed to commercial vehicles or people who are really running the cars. Or on top of that, so actually these cars they run to 1 million kilometers, all these cars. I mean, if they are properly maintained, looked after, then they run to 1 million kilometers. Somebody might have just driven 50,000 kilometers in that period of time. And then you ask him to scrap that very good car. Where are all these resources coming from? all these resources are being wasted. So, I mean, there are lots of things to look at, and I don't know, common sense should rule, but I mean, common sense doesn't seem to reside in any of
That's
our
the problem.
lawmaking bodies. NGT comes from a good place, I mean, good at heart, I'm sure. And the Supreme Court also wants clean air. Everybody wants clean air, but that doesn't mean you penalize everybody by the same yardstick. Whether you're polluting, whether it's diesel, petrol, or whatever it is, that shouldn't matter. Finally, at the end of the day, how much the cars are polluting, whether it is acceptable or not, set that standard, and whatever fuel meets that standard should be accepted. But I mean, the Delhi government also fought against it. They tried to, not enact this law, and the Supreme Court.
Because of the outrage, because of the
It is-
public
it is,
outrage, they took
absolutely
a step
agree.
back, and suddenly they have come back saying from November 1,
Yeah.
not even in Faridabad, Noida,
But sir,
Gurgaon.
this is ridiculous because last what I heard from all the management as in the government was that they're going to write to the NGT and the Supreme Court asking them that okay, we can have solutions to this, right? Even the governor of Delhi called it travesty of justice, which is a very
He
big
wrote a letter
statement.
and all.
He wrote a letter to the CM and all that, and then suddenly yesterday again it has come back, and now they want the entire NCR to come into this whole thing. I mean, how does that make sense? I mean,
And
aren't we
what
going
is this
back and
regional
forth?
thing? I mean, India and the
Exactly.
world.
I mean-
fine. You have common laws everywhere. Enact them. We want clean air for every
Everybody.
place.
For Mumbai too.
I mean, Mumbai is
For Bhopal.
as polluted.
Yeah, Patna, Kolkata,
Absolutely.
Bhubaneswar.
all the cities. So, I mean, there should be number one, uniform rules. And I think number two, you can, if you say, okay, the lifespan of diesel vehicles in India is going to be 10 years, make that announcement, give manufacturers, give people the choice to decide whether they want to go in to buy a diesel car. I mean, so worldwide, lots of governments are unilaterally deciding what technologies they want, whether they just want electric cars in the city or in the country or whatever, but they are giving timelines for everybody to adapt and to understand. So, when you were buying a car, at that time, if you knew the lifespan of this car is going to be 10 years, you would have accordingly decided whether you want to buy that car or not. And maybe manufacturers may stop making those cars. But people who have already bought these cars, people who have given road tax for how many years is
15.
it? 15 years, now have to scrap these cars? This is absolutely
you have
ridiculous.
paid road tax for 15 years.
15 years. I
right?
was told that you can use this car for 15 years, but only 10 years in Delhi.
Right.
After that, it has to go out of Delhi NCR.
अच्छा
What
ये
logic
भी
is this?
ये भी solution को समझ में नहीं आया बाहर and that whole fiasco actually started with these guys reporting that somebody has sold a Mercedes Benz or a big S class actually an S class which they had bought for 88 lakhs 14 years back for 2.5 lakhs. This is the price and the car had done some 60,000 kilometers or something like that. Now, in my opinion, that S class, given the correct fuel and everything, will still be as clean as most of the cars on the road today.
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to belch out smoke. I mean, that's the notion with old cars.
How much of the pollution, number one, in Delhi is coming from vehicles? Out of that, how much is coming from private vehicles? How much is coming from...
28% as per yesterday's news is vehicular pollution, which includes everything.
Right.
Everything.
So for commercial vehicles, there are different laws.
Yes.
1 second. Does it still apply to government vehicles, or are government vehicles still?
No, this is vehicular
They
pollution.
don't even have a pollution check. No insurance. Nothing.
But that's what I think last time they specifically said
the police
that.
jeep outside my house is a Mahindra Jeep diesel direct injection. It belches out smoke. I can guarantee you it doesn't have a pollution certificate. Forget
So
about
they'll
insurance.
impound
What
that
impound?
also.
They can't impound their own
In
car.
their
Now,
own
what are they
police
going to do
station.
with their car?
So probably, if they start with the Delhi police first, Delhi
Wiped
police
out.
will be made ineffective.
They're all gypsies.
They'll all be running behind.
They all will be running behind us.
I have seen gypsies.
Sir, है ना sir.
Gypsies are not even made now.
The gypsy production stopped 15 years back. The last
So
of the
it's over.
gypsies was sold to army in 2018.
So even if it's a petrol vehicle, it's
Sir, आप
run
मुझे
out.
बताओ एक नहीं. How many times if you nowadays you can do all those checks, right? I guarantee you take pictures of these government vehicles. I'm talking about government vehicles, not just cops. Let's not just say the cops, say anybody, you just try and see whether that vehicle has an insurance certificate, a pollution certificate, and how many challans are there on that vehicle. If you search one vehicle, I'm telling you, sir.
No, so coming back to my question, vehicular pollution 28%. Maybe during this rainy season, when all the construction pollution is not there. But when pollution in Delhi is at the peak, I think vehicular pollution is a minuscule amount of that.
18% as per
I
IIT.
think I think it'll be even lower because construction pollution, the crop burning smoke that is coming, all that is contributing much more. The newer cars are so much cleaner than the old cars. So I don't think if actually somebody wants to solve the pollution problem, it is going to be solved by these stupid rules.
This is not going to. Out of that 18%, how much is from vehicles 10 years or 15 years old?
Right.
Sir, बचाई तो नहीं है कुछ. You are talking about Cretas now, which are like launched 10 years
ideally
back.
because nobody is running 10-15-year cars in Delhi anymore.
It's the
been a while.
arbitrariness of the law.
The people who are running these cars are the commercial
Commercial, of course, of course.
carriers,
Yeah.
and which you cannot touch.
Yes.
Because those guys will come out on the streets, they will block the
Block
streets,
it.
they will do a chakka jam.
You remember-
Your traffic and your life in the country will come to a standstill, so you cannot lift a finger against them.
So-
Their emission control norms move very slowly. They are far behind the private vehicle and passenger vehicle pollution norms.
So,
right.
so that means
and
the government is penalizing the common man
exactly
because
Who-
it cannot curb corruption at their end.
because they are the
corruption, but-
easiest to stamp
Target.
down
Yeah.
on, because they are busy people who have lives to lead, they have families to feed, they are going to worry about their jobs and carry on living and bear pain like Kamlesh is saying that
Imagine a situation that all the diesel vehicles that are 10 years old and petrol vehicles that are 15 years old, they drive on November 1 towards Delhi and just park somewhere and
are
have a
left.
picnic
yes
on
That'll be
D&D, on
excellent.
the bridges everywhere.
We are giving ideas, guys.
I know,
We are giving
but-
ideas. Would you like to join
But
something
this won't
like that?
happen because
करेगा
these
सर,
are
कोई नहीं
people who are law abiding, they got work to do, they don't want to get into this
entangled
lafra.
with the
कौन करेगा सर? मतलब
They
आप
don't fight for their rights, and the government also knows that these guys will not fight. Farmers can choke from all corners and you will surrender.
Yeah.
You will take back a law made by the parliament, signed by the president. You will take it back because
अच्छा
because those people have the time and the mind space to go ahead
Yes.
and
also want to talk about, like, everybody knows that this is a really useless rule which is being implemented, and we are paying the price for it. I mean, emotions are going, of course. I myself wrote about my old car, which was a
So
very
you're-
beautiful car.
You're
Whatever.
looking at it from
That's
the
what I'm saying.
enthusiast
Actually,
point.
Kamlesh
I am
But
talking
Rahul,
about-
also the common people who have, somebody who's just has retired, has bought a car,
Yes.
and they barely drive. The car is immaculate. It is well maintained. It is as good as new. And now they have to just get rid of it. What about the financial burden of
Now,
these
at
people?
that age, will these guys get a new loan to get a car? Because most of the cars are sold on loan. Let's also talk about the purchasing ability of the people.
Yeah, it's not just that. In fact, Kamlesh sir raised a very good point about our own cultural values. Like, this is an attack on that also, because we have always been the type of people, who keep plastic on our sofas.
We are repair.
So, yeah.
We are repair,
So
not
this
replace.
is what I wanted to talk about was that I called it un-Indian, that it goes against our ethos.
Yeah.
We have become quite westernized in our values right now, so that, buy things and throw them and replace them. But we have had a culture of sustainable living,
Recycling.
recycle, reuse.
Reuse. Huh.
Everything reuse
Repurpose, actually.
till the time it just, it's unusable, and then you give it to a kabadi wala who gives it for
Who will recycle it then?
हाँ, तो shirts हो गए, बड़े भाई का shirt उसका छोटा भाई पहन रहा है, then because
Children's clothes, they go on for generations.
yes, for
Yeah, so-
generations. And then bed sheets are reused. If some cup is broken, it becomes a flower pot. Huh.
So all the curtains of my old house have been made into bags, which my wife takes shopping
Yes.
and uses her own bags for shopping.
Illegally, when you should buy new bags.
So in the name of sustainability, you can't push new cars. Pollution, boss, it's impossible to solve pollution simply by asking some people to, give up their cars and buy new ones. Because imagine if Delhi had to buy 40 lakh, had to build or make 40 lakh cars from the scratch in Delhi. How much pollution it will cause. Just because it's a village in Andhra Pradesh, you don't care.
You don't care. You generate, and why target
Also, the
Delhi?
value that is being wiped out.
Yes.
So, I mean, a car, say, has a life of 1 million kilometers, or say 25 years. The cars have been made for that many years. You are cutting its life at 10 years. All that value that is just going to
Vanishes,
waste.
huh?
It's waste. It's
And
coming
then-
from somebody's pocket. It is coming from the middle class, law abiding citizens' pocket. All this value, and you're just killing their savings, their
When he buys a
hard-earned
car,
money.
new car, that also pollutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई पेट्रोल कार या
तो
डीजल
सर,
कार पोल्यूशन नहीं
वो
करेगी.
तो सर पोल्यूशन तो
No, I mean,
that's the point.
So, electric cars are also polluting.
Yes.
I mean,
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी
why
कहाँ
has-
से आ रहा है?
Totally
Electricity
carbon.
कहाँ से आ रहा है? उसे बनाने में कहाँ से?
Exactly,
I
Total
mean,
carbon
have you
footprint is insane.
have you read about the places where these rare earths are being mined?
Oh my God.
There's
It's-
devastation there. I mean, if China controls rare earth metals, they are paying a huge price for it. And why is the US not getting into it? Is because they don't want to pay that price. Otherwise, they can also
Yes.
be exploiting these rare earths.
Apparently, Amazon was burning for months by the Amazon
Indonesia,
rainforest.
and this is
So, so electric cars, you pushing electric cars, fine. There's a cost to pay for making them. And once the batteries come to the end of life, which is guaranteed only for 8 years,
Correct.
unlike ice.
Which is eternal.
Yeah, which can be maintained and
Yeah,
run for
absolutely.
ages. After 8 years, what is going to happen to all that
Cadmium and all kinds of dangerous.
rare
Heavy
earth
metals.
metals, which we don't have the recycling capabilities of using them again. Yes, it's very good to think that, okay, they will be used, they'll have second life, they will have third life, then they will be recycled.
but then
and
you are
all
doing the
that.
same thing,
But
right?
you need to set up that infrastructure, and all that takes time. So you can plan properly for putting all these things into place, but you cannot have arbitrary rules which sometimes are enforced, sometimes not enforced, and you decide they need to be enforced again. Say, like in the UK, they said, okay, from 2030, we are only going to sell electric cars. Now, everybody can plan towards that. They're not saying that all your old cars you scrap now. They're saying, okay, if you want to run your old cars, check how much they're polluting, and you pay a tax according to the pollution that the cars are, not based on their age, based on the pollution, based on the emissions.
Solutions,
So,
solutions. Even solutions is the most important thing, and
Nobody
and
wants to think deep. It's a very straight. Okay, 10-year-old cars ban them. 15-year-old
क्या
cars
हालत
ban
होगा
them.
सर जिस like Yogen was talking about like a retired family, like old husband wife saying, now you have to sell off that car for what joy? 15,000-20,000 किलोमीटर चला है गाड़ी क्या?
अरे वो
What
गाड़ी
is-
पता
what-
क्यों
क्या
है?
होने वाला है?
और बेचो भी मतलब बिकेगा भी नहीं. अब
बिकेगा भी
because of
नहीं.
this rule, you
वो
are going
बिकेगा
to
भी
get
नहीं.
1/10 of the value of that car.
S-Class for 2.5 lakhs. And who is making money out of this? All the neighboring states, the rest of India is coming to Delhi. Dealers
Buying
from
the car.
across the country are coming here, picking up these vehicles, going there, making money like crazy. Whereas the person who has owned that car, maintained that car, and loves that car has to sit with peanuts.
So the other thing is that usually all these policies, the car industry lobbies heavily against them. In this case, the car industry hasn't
बिकेगा ना?
lobbied because
बिकेगा
that
ना?
adds to their sales. I mean, they're happy that Delhi
You guys,
NCR.
you guys are from that industry. I take you as representatives of the industry. They have done nothing about Mr. Gadkari, who goes on adding ethanol now 20%. And apparently the aim is to have it to 30%.
And higher if Mr. Gadkari has his way.
I don't know if there is any engine in the world
Which will work like that.
which works at 30% right now. It will guzzle more fuel. So eventually the pollution will be the same.
No, I was telling somebody in Mr. Gadkari's Ministry of Road Transport, Mr. Gadkari has this very favorite quote that he says that he wanted to make all highways concrete, right? And he passed that order, cement was cheap. But then the cement industry got together, and because demand had exploded, they all jacked up prices. So then it was twice as expensive to make cement roads. So now they have gone back to making tarmac roads. The same thing will happen to ethanol. Once the demand
Increases.
increases, I mean, do you think everybody is going to keep selling? Right now, it's a waste product. Okay, there's no value to it. They can give it at whatever price. It is 1/6, 1/10 of the cost of getting petroleum and all that. But once there is solid demand,
They're going to create waste.
they're going to add to
Yeah,
the
of course,
price. And I mean, there'll be a balancing point where ethanol will not be cheap. Everybody will want to make money out of that ethanol also. So at the end of the day, it won't be a win-win situation for everybody. It'll be a lose-lose situation for all the consumers. I mean,
Ultimately, we get the jack.
करेक्ट मिडिल क्लास मरने वाला है वो दिख रहा है मतलब and tell me something all these cars I have seen a lot of cars I don't know whether you guys have noticed it or not you will see mostly diesels around roughly the Gen 2 Fortuner types people have started maintaining those cars that is the one thing I am noticing on Delhi roads
that
I
it's going to get scrapped in any
correct,
case. So
any
might
which
as
way.
well.
So these are the cars which have and you cannot stop them because they are not 10 years old. You will get a PUC certificate. We all know that.
So I don't know if people are aware that there are different types of emissions. One of the things that we need to watch out is for CO2 emissions also. We need to cut down carbon dioxide that we are generating. And diesel is the cleanest of all the fuels as far as CO2 emissions come to. You know,
That's the line I wanted to hear because that's what Yogendra told us some time back. We were having this discussion that diesel is a cleaner fuel. Tell us why.
Yeah, so CO2 emissions, so there are different types of emissions. And CO2 emissions, it's the most efficient fuel and the distance that you are traveling and the emissions that you are emitting, the CO2s emitted by diesel vehicles, modern diesel vehicles, are the least of any of the other fuels, including CNG. So it's not as if, I mean, everybody makes or paints diesel to be the poster bad boy of the industry.
Good
ऐसा
morning,
नहीं है,
people.
मतलब,
Diesel
they are-
is clean.
Diesels are also pretty clean. And of course, they are getting more and more expensive, but then that's for a choice that the consumer has
Consumer
to
has
make. I mean, okay, this is the technology. It'll be so much more expensive, still cheaper than electric vehicles.
Oh, yeah, yeah, any day,
Lithium
any
batteries
day.
are still. And there are joys of driving a diesel vehicle. Why should we be deprived of driving those vehicles?
That's
yellow
what.
and
That's what.
chalk?
That's
I
what.
must add
that-
stress
that-
to
that
this.
is what Kamlesh sir told me the other day. Please.
No, any man worth his mustache will not drive anything but diesel. That I'm
perfect.
sure. Once you
Oh,
have driven a
dear.
diesel vehicle, it travels farther
Yes.
in 1 liter.
Yes.
So
It is
ultimately,
the more efficient fuel.
it is
Yes.
better for the environment.
Right.
Biggest thing in Delhi is, can you not have jams? Because pollution is multiplied because of the idling vehicles. At red lights, use three turns to get out. Make your roads better.
Number
Your
one.
pollution goes down.
Cut down this commercial vehicle tax, which causes jams at all the borders.
NCD, yes.
At all that. And
Every point in there.
out of that 18% pollution that you're talking
Most of it
about,
there. Most of it
5%
Yes.
is coming from these jams that are artificially. I mean, okay, fine.
Fast
we
tags.
might not have roads that are broad enough and all that. But on top of that, we create these artificial roadblocks where vehicles are jammed and are creating pollution. Just
And in
standing there.
2025, you do not have a way to collect octroi.
Right.
सर
Without
फास्टैग लगा हुआ है ना
you
कर
stop
सकते हैं ना
there.
सर कर सकते हैं ना सब कुछ कर सकते हैं बट जरूरत नहीं है that is the point
Again, there's these contracts that are given. I mean, there's a mafia behind
course.
it also.
Clear.
Of course.
Right. Who make the most money, the government makes some money, these guys make more money, and they are not going to let this system become
Modernized.
modernized and transparent and foolproof where you
for
cannot.
the longest period of time I am a frequent visitor to Dehradun and there was this one particular toll booth which had fastag machines which had everything
But wanted cash.
but wanted cash Every time I used to go. Now it's
खराब चल रहा है.
नहीं हम नहीं लेते, फास्टैग नहीं चलता.
There are
You
two
remember
diff-
that toll you.
So there are two different road networks. On national highways, fastags was compulsory. On state highways, it was not compulsory. So it was the operators' wish to start fastag, and they resisted, of course. I mean, for
As much as
whatever reasons and all that. And finally, push comes to shove. I mean, you have to.
Let's talk. Go ahead. Yeah.
So finally, I have a question for all of y'all. You all have all read the news over the last 2 weeks. We first didn't have the law. Now we have the law. In the middle, there was also some talk about what a user gets for his vehicle, right? There was 20% rebate. There was a 5% discount on your next car. So you get some assumed value for your end-of-life vehicle. Where do we stand on that now?
Nowhere.
So, first of all, I mean, the NGT is like a civil code. So, whatever they say is enforceable. But for enacting these laws, finally, it is the government or the state machinery who controls the enforcers who will enact this law. And they were not willing to do it because, again, public sentiment, and it's not a... So then it went to the...
So whose law is it? Because last week we heard Delhi government representatives coming out and saying that, you know, this
See,
law
it is all, it's a
against
common
the
man
people.
problem, right? Abhi Delhi mein there was an outrage with the common man. So the same people who were saying कि हम प्रदूषण कम करेंगे by scrapping these cars have come out and said कि this is not possible, this is not right. Now the turnaround is instant.
So now who has said abhi jo
Again,
November?
the Delhi government has said that we are coming back on the 1st of November and we have said कि बाकी के जो राज्य है, which is the NCR region, now we will come back together so that the ANPR system can be activated so that
we'll
nowhere
get to
goes. Ek minute. Now the problem is all this resource which you are putting to create the ANPR and all this can be put into checking these vehicles. There are automated systems in Delhi which will automatically detect and tell you whether the car is good or bad. You have test facilities which was created as pilot projects. There are about 4 or 5 of them across Delhi where you can take the car. It's a computerized. That's what we were talking about.
MOT kind of.
MOT type testing centers. Why aren't those activated?
And also, okay, fine, you have a 10-year-old vehicle. It is failing to meet whatever emission norms. You should be given a chance
To rectify it.
Yeah, if
Change
you can-
the engine.
Yeah, change
If
the
need be.
engine.
Change
yeah.
the engine, yes.
Do whatever it takes to bring down the pollutants. That's all.
Yeah, why
Solution
do you
होना
have
चाहिए
to
ना?
just kill the vehicle? Yeah, why do you have
Yogen
to
was
just...
talking about CO2 pollutions we all breathe
Yeah.
and exhale CO2.
Exactly.
Will we be culled
Sir, वही तो हालत है
so
ना.
that some people can breathe easy?
नहीं, that's the topic which I think you started कि grandpa is old, grandpa goes to grocery store, guard says grandpa not allowed because 60 years old. अब क्या करूँ उसको लेकर मैं? Grandpa is useless.
And grandpa's car is also useless
Grandpa's
because
car is also useless. So
grandpa
दोनों का
has
scrap
kept
करो.
the car for emergencies. For both of them to go to a hospital at night when they can't find any other vehicle. Because in Delhi, it is being lifted from your parking.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
There are spies who get commission to spot these cars, and then
Because-
suddenly they swoop
because
down
somebody-
and take it away.
Somebody is making money
Yes,
of these cars
So-
that are going.
Yes.
So,
people are making money.
People are
on the
making money
side.
out of it and we are paying.
I think a couple of years ago they did do this whole knee-jerk thing where they started rounding up cars, and it lasted for 3 days.
And S-Class was picked up
From
GK or one of these big
Vasant.
shot places, and this gentleman turned out to be a big shot.
Oh.
And he started his ruckus, and there was a huge hue and cry, and then the cops just kept quiet for some time.
But you know why they stopped actually, right?
Because
They ran out of space to keep the
to
cars
keep the
that
car. They don't have
okay,
place
so,
to keep the car.
yeah, so now the space has been made. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I get
No, we
No,
do
no,
we
still
have
no,
space
still
for 3
no.
lakh cars.
Still no.
So there are 3 lakh cars just in Noida. Do we have the space in Noida to park
But
3
now
lakh
they
cars?
have this, these scrappage facilities in Mayapuri, in Meerut, in
Sir,
Ghaziabad, Hapur.
sir, वो तो grandpa going there to get murdered, na?
हाँ, they will take and
हाँ,
saw it
but
off maybe.
इतनी कैपेसिटी तो अभी भी नहीं है कि
नहीं है।
It's
नहीं।
authorized नहीं है sir. वो market जो है, it's like a makeshift thing.
No, Mayapuri is like traditional
Traditional.
recycling.
Even Meerut, even
but
Meerut.
in Greater Noida, there's
Haan,
one.
there's-
There are all these new ones also coming up. Tata Motors has tied up with the
But Yogen, it has to be a voluntary thing. Na?
Yeah,
You cannot just kill my grandpa. Yaar, I love my grandpa.
And what is the percentage rebate you get while buying
That's
a
what
new
there's
car?
no clarity.
There's nothing. There's no clarity.
There's no
Because
clarity on.
I got one scrapped and I have the certificate. But it's from that Mayapuri guy.
Right.
No. So
Who
when
sent me a certificate, he sent me a hard copy as
No,
well.
when
So maybe
I-
he's also registered, yeah? Some
Maybe,
of these guys
maybe,
also
maybe.
registered, yeah?
So when I sold my car,
He also sent me the engine number wala, that block.
plate.
Right,
हाँ.
right.
That plate,
Plate,
he
हाँ.
cut it out and
So my car still had 6 months to go when I sold it, or rather it was taken away. The gentleman, and my car was an out-of-state car. It was not registered in Delhi. It was not a Delhi number. And I got 25,000 for that car. The audio system alone was 45,000 in that car.
तो वो तो निकाल लेता
25,000
था।
तो निकाल लेता।
So,
Let me get to the point. एक minute. The tires were absolutely brilliant. There was no problem with the tire. Mechanical. There was one scratch on the car, front right corner. Right? That was the total. I got paid $25,000 because at that point of time, it was just after the COVID lockdown. And there were no people. I didn't want to go to Mayapuri or meet people and all that. And that is why I was buying a new car. And the only reason why I sold it off for 25K was because the dealership from which I bought the new car gave me a certificate, gave me all the relevant documents that I had given him the car. I don't know whether that car is still alive or scrapped or what. I just have documents stamped by the dealership that I take responsibility of this car. So there is nothing. And he saw my car. Even the guy who came to collect the car said कि सर अगर ये बचा सकते तो मैं खरीद लेता 25,000 में.
So, in any case, I mean, there is no coordination between the various agencies. Do you remember BMW got a electric car right in the beginning, before electric cars were the vogue and all that? They got it registered. They had a green number plate. The BMW driver took it to the airport to give it to somebody, and the police there challaned him. ये आपने हरी नंबर प्लेट क्या लगा? I have seen that challan, for having a green number plate. That should be framed and kept. I mean, this is the level that we are at. I mean, was driving with a red number plate, and at the airport, the cop stopped. They said, ये red number plate पे आप चला रहे हैं गाड़ी, ये वो इतना फाइन होगा, ये होगा. मैंने कहा मेरे पास trade certificate है. The cop didn't know what it was.
What it was? There's no clue.
So he called somebody else called somebody else. I showed him the company TC. He said, अच्छा ये तो validity खत्म हो गई, ये तो 1 महीने के लिए होता है. मैंने कहा पढ़िए इसे अच्छी तरह. ये 1 साल के लिए, ये कंपनी का ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट है, ये कार टेस्टिंग के लिए है. Then he read it and all.
He must be
Then he gave it.
dismayed because he couldn't make
Yeah.
money.
I'm surprised that
There's-
Yogendra had so much of time before a flight.
It's crazy. I mean,
Then a second time, just before Aerocity, you come from that underbridge and you take a left.
Yeah.
The cop stopped me there again. So I said, here. So I started explaining. So this oldish cop, he said, मैं जानता हूँ दिल्ली पुलिस में खाली मैं ही हूँ.
oh my God.
I mean, that's the
best
state
thing is
that-
you ask about the scrappage policy. Sir, policy है ना? किधर है? I want to read it.
हाँ हाँ
हाइड्रोजन पॉलिसी भी तो है ना.
Exactly my point.
किधर है वो सब हमारे 10 साल में तो इतने सारे.
I have not seen the document yet.
There is nothing. There is
I have
nothing.
heard things in news reports.
It's
That's
just
all.
that कोई मिनिस्टर कुछ बोल देता है वो पॉलिसी बन
Policy
गया.
बन जाता
अरे
है.
सर ऐसा थोड़ी होता है कि पढ़ाओ तो सही.
But who is the minister point of contact for the
Mr. Gadkari.
No, at Delhi level?
He
So there's
announced, yes.
Ministry of Road Transport. There's
In
one.
Delhi.
There's one Ministry of Heavy Industries that also plays a part in it. On top of that, there is NGT, which is a separate body.
Then there is a Center for
government-
Air Quality Monitoring
No,
of
those
Air
are-
Quality.
That is the lobby. That is the one that is pushing the NGT to अरे cars बंद कर दो सबको पैदल चलाओ मतलब that is the
इधर
guy.
खुद डीजल में चलते हैं.
हाँ हाँ
डीजल एमपी भी छोड़ के चलेंगे नहीं.
पर उनकी सरकारी गाड़ी है ना.
तो
So it
सरकारी
does
गाड़ी
not
के
come
क्या-
under the purview of any law.
वैसे सरकार के पास भी बहुत सारी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स दी गई. पता नहीं क्या स्टेट है.
पता नहीं क्या स्टेट है because
Mr. Gadkari himself drives in a hydrogen car.
हाँ.
But he thinks everybody should be drive where?
किधर हाइड्रोजन मिलेगा?
किधर मिलता किधर है? कार किधर मिलता है? हाइड्रोजन किधर मिलता है?
सर कीमत भी तो सोचिए ना सर. अवेलेबिलिटी, कीमत, सब कुछ है, और फिर बोलोगे 15 साल बाद स्क्रैप कर दो, फिर फायदा क्या हुआ?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजेस का क्या होता है, दे ड्राइव इन से डीजल मर्सिडीज, बट दे कैन ऑर्डर अ न्यू वन एवरी 10 years, सेइंग दिस इज 10 years, स्क्रैप दिस, बाय न्यू वन.
कौन दे रहा है पैसा?
वो तो सरकार देती है ना, हम ही मतलब
So,
उनका भी देते हैं,
मैं अपना 800 नहीं चला सकता, लेकिन आई एम फाइनेंसिंग एस क्लास एवरी 10 years. I mean, वाह, क्या.
I mean, and then of course there's the pathway to classic vehicles. I mean,
Oh
that
my
you're
God.
stopping. I mean, if you love vehicles, you're fans of it.
Yogen-
I mean, you have to hide it and keep it then in
Yogen,
in between,
entire
and then take
history-
it out once it becomes classic. I mean,
The entire
what kind of a logic is it?
automotive history of Delhi has been wiped out. I'm also taking on the vintage and classic car clubs.
So now there's a
एक कुछ
there is a
enactment.
vintage certification and all that.
Yeah,
सर
so
नहीं
you
हो रहा है
can,
कुछ. I have tried with my, I have a very small 1965 Vespa. It was a original whatever. दिल्ली में रखा हुआ था. For the longest period of time, I wanted to save that scooter. Then they started picking up scooters, vehicles. तो मैंने वैन में डाल के मैं अपना घर छोड़ के आया हूँ. I have got a smart card. It's valid. When I inquire in the Calcutta RTO about a VA registration, they have never heard of anything.
so you have to go through the classic car and bike clubs. So हो रहा है उस पे काम. I think मिल रहा है.
Have you seen any vehicle with a VA number plate?
I haven't been to
I have not.
रैलीज जो हुई हैं
हाँ.
वो कैसे चल रही हैं?
Illegal.
हाँ,
They
उसमें
take-
तो
they take-
दिल्ली वाले नंबर ही हैं.
They
so far.
They take permission from the government for a one-day usage, and that's about it. They can drive
अच्छा,
that
इसका
car.
स्ट्रक्चर है.
इसका स्ट्रक्चर कुछ नहीं है कि भाई आज का दिन पकड़ना मत.
मतलब स्ट्रक्चर अनाउंस तो किया है. स्ट्रक्चर अनाउंस तो किया है कि दे विल
और
be
सारे
a
डी
vintage
और सारे
automobile
deregistered vehicles है सर. I'm sorry to say.
हाँ,
Because
obviously.
it's a computerized system. Like I had a SS80, the old 800, deregistered. It was a Delhi number. If I check it right now, it's deregistered.
Yeah, but in 15 years, it's supposed to be deregistered. No?
नहीं मेरा तो गाड़ी 35 years old था. But the paperwork was valid. लास्ट फिटनेस के बाद भी 5 years जो एक्सटेंशन उस गाड़ी को मिला था वो वैलिड था जब वो डीरजिस्टर हो गई. When this whole fiasco. So every November होता है ना हल्ला मचता है, तो वो उस टाइम पे मेरा गाड़ी ऑटोमेटिकली.
सो पहले तो ये तो अभी 10 and 15 years तो अभी आया है. पहले तो इंस्पेक्शन होता था.
Yes.
अगर आपकी कार
Certificate of
चल रही है
fitness.
तो आप चलाते रहो.
Solution, solution.
उसमें कार में सब कुछ बदल जाता था पर कार चलती रहती
Yes.
थी एंड इट वाज फाइन टू रन. एंड आई मीन स्क्रैपेज वगैरह तो इंडिया में
था ही नहीं कभी.
हाँ, बहुत कम होता था.
There used to be something called fitness certificate.
है ना?
Exactly.
अभी भी है
Yeah.
एवरीवेयर इन द कंट्री.
So once you have that, then you can run the car.
But that's the problem. That's where the problem lies.
Corruption.
Absolutely.
And yeah, now they are just deregistering whether it has a
Automatically.
fitness
उससे कोई
certificate
मतलब
or
नहीं.
not or whatever. So the car is like he's talking about his car. It has a fitness certificate. The paperwork
Valid
is
था,
valid.
paper valid था.
Everything.
स्मार्ट कार्ड था सर. दिल्ली का स्मार्ट कार्ड था प्रॉपर. मेरे नाम पे गाड़ी थी. एंड वन फाइन डे आई हैड टेकन इट फॉर अ PUC क्योंकि आई यूज्ड टू टेक लाइक माय डैड यूज्ड टू लव इन सिटिंग इन दैट कार. तो हर संडे हम लोग लेके उसको निकलते थे. अब 35 साल पुराना 800 में थोड़ी लेके कहीं जाऊंगा. अभी एक चक्कर लगा के आ जाते थे, फ्यूल अप कराते थे, दैट्स इट. तो आई सडनली रियलाइज कि भाई यार इसका PUC खत्म हो रहा है. तो आई वेंट एंड अब वो पूरा फेक कंप्यूटराइज सिस्टम हो गया है कि आपका फ़ोन नंबर लगेगा, सब कुछ लगेगा दुनिया भर का, आप कहाँ जा रहे हो क्या कर. सो यू प्लग्ड इट इन एंड इज लाइक सर आपका गाड़ी का नंबर तो मिल नहीं रहा है. सर मिल नहीं रहा है मतलब क्या? मतलब पेपर है. मैंने बोला हाँ है, मेरे नाम पे है गाड़ी एंड ऑल दैट. एंड देन द गाय इज लाइक अंकल जी की गाड़ी है. तो आई सेड हाँ ठीक है, आई डिडंट वांट टू. हाँ उनकी ही है. नहीं सर आपका नंबर नहीं मिल रहा है. DLC नंबर था. इट वॉज अ वेरी फैंसी नंबर. नहीं मिल रहा है. देन आई चेक. ऐसे ठीक है कुछ होगा, मैं देखता हूँ जाके. एंड आई वॉज नॉट टू फार फ्रॉम होम. तो आई टोल्ड डैड कि ऐसा कुछ पेपर में प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, लेट मी गो एंड चेक. सो वी वेंट होम एंड वाहन पोर्टल हैड जस्ट स्टार्टेड. आई चेक्ड इट देयर, deregistered. And I was on a Sunday drive with my dad 2.5 kilometers from home in that 35-year-old car, which he loved.
Yogen, I have a question for you. Maybe we can draw on structures that have been used on the global scale. I mean, there are scrappage policies on the global scale that have worked. From a philosophical standpoint also, I mean...
So there was, very famous scrappage policies were all voluntary. You give people the incentive to get rid of
Yes,
their cars.
yes.
They all, and then
Give me subsidy.
Yeah, they will get. So in the UK,
Crash for bangers. Cash for bangers. Sorry. Cash for bangers.
Hyundai India made a huge killing because the i10 was being exported to Europe from India and especially to the UK. And for certain cars, there was like a massive subsidy. If you scrap your car and you buy those small cars, then you get like, I don't remember exactly how much, but it was a very good incentive scheme. And sales of the i10 shot up and went through the roof because it was a very good, well-equipped small car. And people availed of it. They had a corpus that they said so many £100 million we will give out if people scrap their cars. And similar things have happened in various other countries. So it is voluntary. It is not that 10 साल के बाद आपकी कार उठा के हम
That's the European way of doing things.
Right.
We just import emission norms from there.
Right.
तुम्हारा कितना हो गया यूरो कितना हुआ 7. Okay, we'll also
हम 10
have
करेंगे.
we'll have BS7.
हम लोग
Okay.
हम
We think we are like it's Europe, that people are as prosperous as Europe. They do not drive cars, boss, in countries. They ride bicycles because that's how they are built. Can I ride a bicycle from here to say 2 kilometers? I'll be knocked down.
That's what. So I used to stay in sector 15A, and I used to tell people that, oh, I stay like barely, less than a kilometer. So people would say that, oh, then you can walk to office. I said, I will not be alive for over a week if I try walking to office.
Where do you walk?
Yeah, so the footpaths on this
Take
road
it
in
over.
front are chock-a-block with motorcycles and
Yes.
scooters. I mean, where?
So-
So I mean, first you lay out the infrastructure. Then you introduce rules and laws and whatever. And the first thing is, if you give a lovely cycling path to go somewhere, there will be hundreds and thousands of people who would love to
Actually,
cycle
fuel is
in
expensive.
Yeah, who would
और
love
अभी
to
इलेक्ट्रिक
cycle.
साइकिल्स भी तो आ गए.
Who would love to cycle?
Yes.
Who would love to use that? I mean, but first you have to lay down the infrastructure. You can't just tell people, okay, stop using cars and then what? Where? How? I mean, ridiculous.
Okay, I think we need to also talk about solutions to this. What do you think is the right solution?
I won't have the solution. Solution you will have. You will have.
No, just want to know. Say your car is turning 10, and I'm talking because you have that car. What do you want, or rather, what step do you want to take, or how far do you want to go to ensure that you want to keep that car?
See, what happens is I sometimes believe that, in the Constitution, we got some fundamental rights. So it's like belief in God. When you need him, he won't appear. So there are fundamental rights that I'm supposed to enjoy, but there is something called right to property. That's how the entire civilization has been built. Once we establish right to property, that this is your house, then this is your house. This is your family, this is your family. This is your property, this is your farm.
कल फार्म मांगेंगे तो दे देंगे सर.
Like, so
वही तो.
I'm telling you, so now buildings all across Europe have certification of how environmentally friendly they are. And governments are giving incentives to make it more environmentally friendly so that you're not
You're
losing
giving actually ideas, huh?
you're not losing heat.
The actual solution is not needed, sir.
But इंडिया में तो क्या करेंगे वो कहेंगे कि अच्छा डिमोलिश कर दो मतलब अगर 10 साल हो गए तुम्हारे घर को डिमोलिश कर दो मतलब क्या
उड़ा दो.
अभी तो कार उड़ा रहे हो अभी घर उड़ा दोगे मतलब क्या
मतलब क्या किधर जा रहे हैं हम लोग सर?
I would like to retain that car. I keep it clean. You can check emissions all the time. I mean, whatever is, it does not exhale oxygen.
Yeah.
It's a car. When it works, like I do, we take something and we exhale something else. That happens. But I get it regularly serviced. If there will be any issue, I would make sure that I do not violate any norms that we have agreed upon as a civil society. But for any authority to come and tell me that this no longer belongs to you, it is illegal to own this, is against my fundamental right to property. That's what I believe.
Can somebody take this to court?
I think somebody should. Because look, I have put in 50 lakh rupees in that car, right? And I am not a very rich person. 50 lakhs matter to me. You can't say now इसको scrap कर दो 25,000 ले लो.
नहीं, बहुत लोग तो ना जिंदगी भर वेट करते हैं कि मुझे ये मर्सिडीज या ये कोई ओन करनी है. They have aspirations, they have dreams. Finally, they get to that day when they can own that car. It is like an achievement of a lifelong goal. And then
it is just 7-8 years of EMI also for that car.
And then it is snatched from you. I mean, yeah, ridiculous.
And for those who buy second-hand cars to manage their livelihood, or second-hand bikes to deliver things to people's homes.
All
so
these
they can
delivery
run their-
guys.
Yes.
All these delivery
They
guys.
can't afford to buy a new one.
नहीं है. लाख रुपए के नीचे सर मतलब स्प्लेंडर नहीं मिलता आपको आज.
वही तो
कहाँ से afford कर
वो तो
लेंगे सर?
10,000 रुपए में खरीदते हैं, उसको चकाचक कर लेते हैं, उसको चला रहे हैं.
2-4 लाइट वेट लगा के चला रहे हैं उसको.
There is solution if you make alternative fuel vehicles attractive.
Right.
We will buy. We are not fools that I buy your 100 rupees ka diesel, and burn it. We are not fools. If electric cars are efficient and available
And affordable.
we'll buy electric cars.
So for delivery guys, so electric cars are expensive. Electric vehicles are more expensive than ICE, but you get a good benefit if you run them.
If you run them.
If you run them very much, then you are making back some of the money. And for delivery guys where the vehicles are constantly used, electric cars still make sense. Electric cars make sense for public transport where the cars
Yes.
are being run 24/7. So fantastic. But for somebody who's going to drive the car once a week, maybe twice a week for 2 kilometers to the next door market, whatever, he has an emotional attachment with the car. I mean, why do you want to force him to buy an electric vehicle?
Or
You
any
said-
or a new car again.
Right.
I mean, you are ending up buying another car.
Right. And in any case, you set emission norms, whatever it is, whether it is...
We're coming to that, Yogen. We're coming to that. Solutions. Suggest what should be the...
So, I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel. There are lots of countries who've gone through the same process, same challenges, same everything. They have all found solutions to it. It's never been this drastic, this draconian, where cars are being snatched from your homes, snatched from outside your homes. It has never happened.
From fuel pumps. You
झगड़ा तो वही
drive
हुआ.
to refill, and you are told to take a Rapido.
So it has never happened like this in any country. You talk about authoritarian regimes, you talk about dictators, you talk about people, countries where somebody says something and it is law. Nothing like this has ever happened. I mean, this is going to one extreme to find a solution to a very big problem, which will not be solved by this alone. So there are lots of solutions. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find the best one which is acceptable to all sides. I mean, there are lots of countries which have switched already to electric vehicles. How did they do it? What kind of incentives were given? It is all there. I mean, you don't have to, reinvent anything, invent something. You can see the examples that have taken place. And, okay, he wants to keep on running his vehicle. It pollutes more than the old vehicles. Extract a tax from him. That helps clean up the air.
Yes.
I mean, if he wants to keep that vehicle,
That is acceptable to me.
he will pay.
If I am
something
polluting more, I will
reason-
pay more.
Something reasonable, and that's how it works around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you also have a pathway to having a classic car, having something that is passed down from generation to generation. This was my grandfather's first car. It is there in the family. It has
Yes.
been kept.
And also
You take
these
it out.
cars are never used that much. I mean, I won't drive my 35-year-old 800 when I have a brand new car every day.
So no, I'm talking about the pathway. Once it gets to 35 years old or 40 years old, that is different. You won't drive it. But in the course of getting to 40 years, you should be able to drive it, keep it running, keep it maintained, enjoy the vehicle for whatever it is worth.
Do you guys really think the government has time to think about this problem being us, like the middle class?
If they don't think about this, then they'll be forced to think about another problem,
Like
which
what?
is
Yes.
how to deal with this bottleneck that they're creating. Because think about this. Okay, 10 cars go to one fuel pump. They're all 10 years old. that fuel pump is closed now. How
Yes.
are they going to move those cars to your
But that is what happened.
RSVF?
No, that is what happened. In North Delhi, that is what happened. And there was this one old uncle which I heard the story about. He was driving his old some hatchback. He was in nothing special, nothing special. He got off the हाथ लगा के बता. मतलब it must be his Rajjo or
No,
whatever.
say they're all law-abiding citizens. They give the key, say okay, thank you, sorry, and leave. Then what?
They're jacked.
My friend got caught in this Grab 4 madness
yes,
that we
yes.
have Delhi mein, na? Grab 3, Grab 4, you never know which one it is.
Which
and
Grab
who it
you're
impacts.
grabbing.
Which CRAP you are carrying.
He saw that somebody is clicking a photo of his vehicle, a police officer. So he stopped and asked him, you clicked the photo of my car? He said, yes, but it's Grab 4 is in effect and your car is not eligible to be on the road. So he said, yeah, how can you say that? How much? What is the fine? Can you delete this? He said, no, ये तो चला गया 20,000 का चालान है. So he was like, 20,000? Then he looked in the whatever software he had. He said कि आपका पहले भी एक हो चुका है. तो ये दूसरा है. Like, what? माचिस है?
आग लगा दो.
हाँ मैं यही लगा देता हूँ. Because
यही हो रहा है.
because his duster was not sold for 60,000 bucks.
Correct.
He was supposed to pay.
Correct.
So, I mean, all this PUC's pollution control certificate is also a sham.
Hey,
It is a big sham.
I need to.
What
I need
happens
to.
there? I don't know.
Sir,
So-
I'll tell you.
So,
Wait.
so one second. Forget about all the back end and whatever is happening. Brand new car I'm driving, just 1 year old, Euro BS6, compliant, well maintained, 1 year old. 1 year and 1 day old. So when the car comes, it has a PUC which is valid for 1 year. Do you think from yesterday to today, the car has suddenly started polluting? Huh? It has suddenly it is spewing out. एक दिन में वो मतलब
Okay,
एक घंटा पुराने दिन से नए दिन में पहुंचे.
दिन में 10,000
सुबह early morning I go to the airport and he says आपका तो PUC expired है. मैंने कहा ये तो नई कार है. नहीं, 1 साल 1 दिन हो गया है. कल एक्सपायर हो गया है. आपका ये फाइन हो गया है. PUC नहीं है.
$10,000. But
10,000
bucks.
there's a better twist to this now.
I mean,
you know
really-
that BS6 cars actually pollute under the calibration level.
Okay,
so
I'll give you
can't
that
test
example.
them. So if you go to test a BS6 car, the sensor doesn't work.
Okay,
They
so I'll
will-
tell you how it works.
It's a Volkswagen scandal all across.
So I had a motorcycle, an X-Pulse. Same problem. 1 year, 1 day old, and I got a message. They are very proactive. Message आया आपका प्रदूषण जांच whatever. So I went to the first PUC center. The guy is sitting there chewing a pan, and he's like, मैंने पूछा कि sir PUC BS6 है क्या? हाँ, नहीं होगा. I said क्यों कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, मशीन खराब है. Okay, I thought ठीक है मशीन खराब. ऐसे करते करते 4 places I went. 5th guy I gave up because I know where the cops will be standing. I know उधर फोन लेके खड़ा है बंदा वहां पर, तो मैं उधर से लेफ्ट टर्न लूंगा एंड मेरा चालान कटेगा. So I take a U-turn, go to the other one, and I said जो भी है कर दे. So
फोटो खींच के दे दिया.
नहीं. So he plugs in the PUC. He said अभी आपको PUC सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए क्या? हम बोला हाँ चाहिए. कैसे होगा? आप एक काम करो, आप एक्सलेटर दो. ठीक है. I revved the nuts out of my BS6 motorcycle with 1800 kilometers on the clock.
For it to register some emission.
7000 RPM पे which is near red line. He said हो गया. I said क्या हो गया? Reading आ गया.
It hit the minimum calibration.
It hit the minimum calibration at 7,000 RPM, sir.
It's
And
a
I
joke,
got
yaar.
and I got a
Please
PUC
spread this
certificate.
video, yaar.
I
So what is
passed.
happening with all these BS6 vehicles?
So now slowly in a phase wise they are getting new
upgrading.
Sir,
machines
वो
that
खुद रेडी नहीं हमारी गाड़ियां छीन रहे. क्या बात कर रहे हैं सर?
बनाना है सब.
हाँ, मतलब this
By the way, my 2-stroke moped, which is not 15 years old, passed the test. 2-stroke, sir. क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
So you've been to like those vehicle storage yards where they keep vehicles before they ship them out, right? 3 lakh vehicles just in Noida region, not even Greater Noida. What is the size of the area for?
Yeah, so I've seen these massive storage yards where they have multiple stories. They are not very high also. They are enough for the cars. But you need to develop that infrastructure. I have not seen any such in India. And, yeah, so, and I mean, you're coming to the other extreme. I don't even want to reach there. How can they have these cars? This is not done. I mean, why do you want storage for storing these cars? It shouldn't be allowed to be made.
No, I'm just trying
People
to
shouldn't-
highlight how knee-jerk this whole thing is, that you are not going to be ready for these 3 lakh cars that are coming to you, that you want to come to you in theory.
वो तो
So
कभी
that,
भी नहीं
that
है.
has been happening for
That
quite
तो-
some time now,
that
right?
तो is-
So in any case now, I'm sure they found a way of spiriting these cars out, having somebody who will buy these cars, take out parts of cars and sell them in the second-hand
Or
market,
they
or
take it
sell
out
the
to
car.
smaller towns
yeah.
and pollute them.
हाँ पोल्यूट देम कि वहां पर अभी बचा है तो वहां पर करो. अगर वही करना है, ग्रैंडपा
पर अगर
पोल्यूट्स देयर.
डीरजिस्टर हो गई है कार, तो उसे कार
Exactly,
को
हाँ.
कहीं ले जा नहीं सकते हैं, कहीं और बेच नहीं सकते हैं, कहीं और
You
चला
mean
नहीं
you're
सकते.
telling me deregistered cars are not being driven across the hinterland?
So that is it. मतलब क्या हिंटरलैंड में तो नई गाड़ी खरीदते हैं, कभी उसको रजिस्टर ही नहीं कराते हैं, वो बिना नंबर प्लेट के ही चलाते रहते हैं. मतलब वो तो
उसमें कास्ट का नाम लिखा होता है बस आगे पीछे.
हाँ, ये से. अच्छा, we'll not get to cars. Car show. Hello. Connecting rod. We are back. So that's the thing.
Yeah. So there has to be proper solutions. The problem has to be tackled on multi fronts. It cannot be one solution fits all, and that to an arbitrary age that you are setting. 10 years. How did you come by this 10 years? You're giving fitness certificates for 15 years.
Who calculated this?
Yeah, how has this been calculated?
नहीं, ये
It is
डीजल पे
like
कैसे
the-
आया? मतलब ये actually good question.
It is like the Donald Trump tax.
Tariff,
कहीं से-
extra 10%. चलो.
मतलब क्या
10 साल. Grandpa Dyson 10 साल.
10 commandments. 10 is a round figure, no?
अच्छा लगता है.
Seems like a
सुनने में
nice
अच्छा लगता
You
है.
can't do 7, you can't do 11, 10 कर देते हैं.
मतलब कहाँ से आया ये? किसने लिखा है कि मतलब 10 साल के बाद एकदम से पोल्यूट करने लगेगी गाड़ी, उससे पहले नहीं कर रही
15 साल
होगी.
भी वैसा ही है. 15 नहीं, एक्चुअली 15 साल तो वो रजिस्ट्रेशन का एक साइकिल किया था इन्होंने.
हाँ, तो मतलब
So
उसमें
वो
तो
15
थोड़ा सा
साल,
सेंस बनता है. मतलब
And keep people busy talking about cars, bans, fuel, emission, pollution, so that
No, उस परेशानी में बैठे
nobody
हैं.
notices कि water is also polluted. What have you done about, giving people clean water? Yamuna looks the same.
जब हम बच्चे थे सारा टैप का पानी पीते थे.
हाँ.
अभी कोई बच्चा टैप का पानी पी नहीं सकता है. मतलब
पूरी
क्या
दुनिया में
है?
यही होता है. You
पूरा
go
दुनिया
to
में
the
यही है, of
basin
course.
and drink it. It's safe to drink. Here,
बिस्लेरी.
आरो लगाओ, खरीदो एक
आरो
पूरा
कुछ लगाओ.
industry.
आरो लगाओ. हाँ,
इतना पानी वेस्ट करो, मतलब आरो में for every 1 liter of
You
clean
are
water you
like,
get you're wasting 10 liters of water.
Absolutely, absolutely.
पानी तो is
We are really at a scary level where we are. I mean, okay, many of us have already lost our beloved cars and all that, and I think it's time to just raise a voice. I mean, you guys tell us whether you want to retain your cars. What are you going to do if the government asks you to pay more tax? If government asks you to do a fitness certificate every year, are you fine with that? What are you going to do, or up to what level you are ready to suffer because you want to keep Rajjo and Black and all these things together?
That
Or
is
suffer, or I mean, it's a pathway to joy. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No. For everybody else, it's sufferance. I mean, for us, it is joy. I mean, of course, we are motoring journalists. We love our vehicles. We love them. We have names for them. They are family members. All those things are
you
fine.
always drive new cars here. I would love to buy a new car, by the way. I just don't want to discard the one that I have.
exactly.
Because you don't kick out your family members because a new one is born.
Yes,
Absolutely.
But do you also think that this will start affecting manufacturer behavior? Now, so say when manufacturers make a car, they make it to run an X number of kilometers. The parts are made to run an X number of kilometers. The materials used.
So
Do you think
in
that
the
they'll...
Excellent question, though.
in the long term, people will adapt. I mean, at one point, you are making cars safer. That means you're adding a lot more engineering to it. You're adding a lot more strength to it. You're making cars that will last longer also. At one point, you're forcing them to add more value to the shell of the car. At the other end, you're saying that you have to scrap it in 10 years. I mean, this is a
But they're
very...
also here to do business, no? So they are going
Yeah,
to figure out...
So car, like I said right in the beginning, the car manufacturing lobby hasn't stood up against it because it helps them. It helps sales, and especially when costs of cars is going up, they are finding it difficult to sell new cars. People want to retain their old cars and run them more. I mean, they're happy
They
to.
must be happy,
Yeah, they're happy.
They must be
that-
very happy. For sure,
That,
for sure.
there'll be more cars
Because,
bought if people get rid of their
खरीदेंगे.
cars. Because at the other end of the spectrum, I mean, in Europe, lots of people are moving to public transport. They have their cars, they have them for special occasions, they have them for outstation trips, for family outings. But otherwise, people are happy. to
Nobody wants to go to work by your own vehicle, boss.
Right. And in India, the alternatives, while they are coming up, are not enough to support that kind of a lifestyle. So it's a necessity to have cars, to have
Safety
running
is
cars.
also a very big aspect especially we are talking about Delhi NCR. I mean, we've seen I've so many friends we have, women drivers coming back. I mean, so much so that I have heard stories where women want bigger cars because it's it scares,
intimidating, yes.
intimidating.
Yes.
It scares other people कि अरे Fortuner आ रहा है पता नहीं कौन है या Scorpio आ रहा है या something like that. They want to do, and in that kind of a place you are taking away cars. I don't know.
Also, you can't walk. Europe, you can walk and cycle. Here, the temperature, the humidity.
The air quality.
Yeah, the air quality.
No, even in the months that you will be able to do it, there's no space to do it.
Yes.
Where will you do it? I mean, I couldn't walk
Half a
500
kilometer.
meters
No,
from my home to office.
Even in Noida, all these apartment complexes have walking zone and all that. Can you even imagine
We
walking
do
in
actually
December?
have a cycle path in Noida.
Yeah, we have a cycle
There are
path in
trees
Noida.
in the middle of them.
That's a different story. But during winters, when that Parali thing starts, even if you have a walkway inside, you will not go out, you will die. आपको फील होता है
Yes,
अंदर.
yes.
एंड वो अचानक धुआं ऐसा नहीं है कि
वो
नवंबर
गाड़ी
से
से नहीं निकला
वो
है.
नवंबर से गाड़ियां धुआं नहीं निकलने लगती. दे आर नॉट sitting there to start polluting in November.
No, so there are a lot of conditions that come together to create this really bad
Absolutely.
air quality in the
Absolutely.
country.
Absolutely.
And vehicles are a very small part
Very
of
small
it.
part, minuscule.
But it is the one that the government thinks can
Scapegoat.
be easily...
Scapegoat.
Yeah, exactly. So
Because dust pollution and other pollution you can't control. You don't have the political will and the devices.
right.
तो हमें
do
छोड़ दो ना,
anything
हो
about
रहा है
it.
जो होने दो, मरने दो.
So सारे public areas में कहीं पे भी bare earth नहीं छोड़ो. सब जगह grass
That's how it
plant करो.
happens worldwide.
Worldwide it happens.
हर जगह होता
You make sure that nothing is escaping from these places.
You have
I
loose
saw-
soil everywhere.
Yeah.
On the road.
I saw an incredible video
मतलब
from China today.
इतना धूल भरा हुआ है रोड्स पे, रोड्स के साइड्स पे, फिर एक वो स्वीपर चला देते हैं. मतलब how is that going
is
to
adding to it.
how is that going to just control it? There's so much. You need to make it all green on the sides of the road, make sure nothing is being kicked up. Vehicles where they are going, construction sites में से आ रही हैं vehicles,
Right.
जा रही हैं. You go to any other country, even in Asia, go to Japan and all are still
Go to
advanced.
Thailand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a very rich
construction
country.
sites are so sanitized, they are cleaner than hospitals in India. So that they are washing bays, they are
Correct.
recycling
I
bays.
just saw a
mean,
video before recording this. I was just looking out on what all practices are there. In Thailand, they have started this new thing to reduce dust, as you say. So when a construction truck or any of these JCBs or anything come out, they take away, right? There is a wheel washing center there. So the vehicle will pass through that. The jet sprays will clean the wheels because that is what will go out
On the road.
on the
and then
road
get kicked
and
off.
dust will escape.
Yes.
I mean, transporting sand, the sand mafia, all these trucks, now they started putting
Tarp on it.
some kind
Just
of a
like
cloth.
that.
That looks
Just
like
like that.
that looks like Superman.
And it keeps that sand keeps falling on the
Oh,
road.
yes.
But there is some green cloth
Yes,
on top of
absolutely.
it.
Matlab, stop that. Stop these trucks which are carrying construction material to access any road at any time of the
Yeah.
year. Start with that. Enforce that. Why can't you enforce that? Enforce all these age-old trucks that are coming into the city and polluting all over the place. I mean, what? Ridiculous. Remove the bottlenecks from the roads where cars are idling and standing and waiting. Make good.
You can't turn it off in Delhi because the
नहीं,
moment
वो
you
तो-
turn
वो
it,
तो-
somebody will
वो
honk.
तो-
Move 1 centimeter, please.
And the heat. You need to have the ACs running.
Yes, yes.
I mean, all those things also.
Okay, yesterday night, I took 3 hours to get home from the airport, which is quite a distance, I understand. But generally, it takes 45 minutes to 1 hour.
4
at
drops
the
of
most.
water fell from the sky.
4
going
drops
to
of water
happen.
fell from the sky, and it took me 3 hours. And for 3 hours, the cab I was in never switched off because AC तो चल रही है. वो 1 घंटे में होता था.
It's 4 times the emission.
I mean, in any case.
मतलब सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस. मतलब ग्रैंडपा को मारने से पहले थोड़ा ये भी सोच लो. एक ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर लगा दो, कुछ तो करो. मतलब
They haven't been able to fix drains here. Every year, this season, the same story.
सर ये 10 साल
Roads
ट्रेन
are
में भी
very-
आएगा क्या?
हाँ?
ये 10 साल ट्रेन में भी आएगा क्या? ट्रेन प्लेन 30
वो तो
साल.
इलेक्ट्रिक है ना ट्रेन से भी. So,
नहीं डीजल भी तो है. I'm very bad with trains by the way. I'm sorry.
I think 95,
now
98% of
mostly,
the
but now we have electrified.
Electrified. Okay,
is
okay,
electrified.
Okay.
I think I have one final question before we sign off. Why are we doing this in Delhi? Is it supposed to be a pilot project? Are we supposed to be role models for the country? Why Delhi?
Because it is the most polluted city in the country.
But last winter,
Bombay was
Bombay
was more polluted.
Bombay
No,
was.
there are smaller towns in India
and
where
Calcutta
they
में
don't
कौन
even
दिखता ही
mention-
नहीं है.
you can't breathe. But
small industrial towns are really, really bad. Some of them. Yeah.
but judges and others, people, important lungs live in this city. वो भी है.
पर ये लंग्स के लिए तो नहीं हो रहा है ना. इससे लंग्स तो मतलब क्लीन नहीं हो जाएगी यार.
But बॉम्बे में मिल जाते हैं important lungs.
हाँ वो तो बहुत.
No, वो तो बिजनेस एंड एंटरटेनमेंट
But sir, वही तो lungs है ना.
पॉलिटिकल पावर का जो लंग है ना वो ये है. सी पॉलिटिकल पावर हैज लंग्स नो हार्ट.
But
Bombay,
you said the Lutyens bubble. No, the Lutyens bubble is great.
yes, they just don't know, but they have to unfortunately breathe the same air that we do.
But they have trees and they have. Have you been to Lutyens? It's so nice. You
Plant
can
trees.
walk around.
Plant trees.
Make it all
Trees
green,
reduce a lot
yeah.
of pollution.
Absolutely.
Check your construction sites. Make sure that these trucks that ply
Even-
all over Delhi all night and day.
Yeah, make them
You
all
have the
electric.
solution.
That's the first thing that they should do. All the commercial vehicles, including they are doing some buses and all that, but everything should be electric inside the city. Make sure
Commercials.
anything, all commercial vehicles that are coming in.
Aren't buses, electric buses, a scam? In cities.
Nice.
Like, see, if a bus goes from here to Aligarh,
Right.
it has to take some other route and all that.
right.
But when you have fixed routes, the Delhi to Dwarka, it's a road. Can you just not have an overhead wire?
So tram
And run it.
systems
Are there.
Are there
Are
in
being
some of these-
revived all over the world.
Right.
Now you have huge batteries in buses, which will be useless in 6 years.
The very scary thing is, Kamlesh sir, you know,
Money.
Calcutta had the trams.
Huh.
They phased it out.
Because they had outdated trams. Now the
But
trams are
if
far
they-
more
if they-
efficient.
if
So, I
they
mean,
could
no,
have
tram-
modernized
these
that, the tracks were there.
These buses that so
Overhead,
many
they don't need,
cities,
huh?
they're using the same overhead cables
For
for
buses.
these buses, which were used for trams earlier. So I mean, they found a very good solution, and these are very modern buses that run on electricity that is
Correct,
coming
huh?
from overhead
You
cables.
use the same road infrastructure
Right.
and
But you just have overhead wires.
put overhead wires
Sir, तो
and
तार
run
खींच
buses
लेगा ना,
like
sir.
that. But when you know exactly, this number bus goes from here to airport, make it easier for them instead of using huge. I'm sure that
So, I
battery
mean, like,
packs
you know,
must be huge.
Huge.
जब हम कॉलेज में थे वो रिंग रोड पे मुद्रिका चलती थी.
हाँ.
दैट इज अ फिक्स सर्कुलर रूट. उस पे तो कर ही सकते हो ना?
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं.
वो तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. इट इज
And it's wide enough
Yes.
to afford one.
नहीं उसमें वाइड की उसमें ये थोड़ी है कि सेपरेट कॉरिडोर बना रहे हो. These buses are running intermixed with traffic. So
Yes.
you're not even cordoning off a part of the road to make a.
But it's not like a rapid bus transport or
Yeah,
whatever
it's
that
not a
thing
corridor.
was.
It is like buses are running. The buses cannot just go anywhere. They have to
Follow the route.
Yeah.
They have to.
Which is
there's-
also good
yeah.
because buses don't follow lanes now.
Which
So there's some flexibility. There's a lot of flexibility, but yeah, they have to be attached to the
Overhead wires.
overhead wires, and it works so well in so many cities. So
This
yeah.
should go to the Delhi Chief Minister and others. At least start from the Mudrika, that ring road,
This is a
and
superb.
solve it.
Right. So electric commercial vehicles, okay, buses though is a very good way and easiest way to do it. You don't even need lithium-ion batteries and all that rare earth materials and pollution and all
direct
that is
tar.
also not coming. But commercial vehicles, you can turn to electric. All these delivery things instead of CNG, switch to electric. And actually 30% of these small delivery vehicles are already
Already
electric,
So it
yes.
is moving towards that. You should
Even three-wheelers actually.
Three-wheelers or small electric vehicles. So this should be accelerated. I think that's a very good pathway forward. Have checks on pollution. Have actual checks on all these PUCs.
No, other than scam. That's a scam.
And give fitness certificates depending on the way your vehicle is polluting. Take a tax from them to help other efforts to green Delhi, to control dust.
Use
to
that
clean,
money to make it greener.
absolutely. And I think if you control crop burning in the surrounding areas, we will have a much cleaner Delhi this winter. Yeah.
Leave Rajjo alone. Superb.
So I think that is it from us. We have...
I mean, we can keep on talking about
Yeah, we
Yes,
could
we can
probably
be
be
here
talking
for
for
a really
another
long
2
time,
hours.
yes.
But I think we have a kind of roadmap, at least for people who are looking to set out this governance and going forward into November. We kind of have a roadmap. We do have some advice that we'd like to offer from our end, which is work on commercial vehicles, work on public transport, give us better solutions there, give us a better roadmap for those who are going to scrap their cars. I mean, if you're going to force it, give us some incentive, give us some...
It shouldn't be.
No, it should not be. No, it should not be.
It should be voluntary.
It should be voluntary.
Or
yeah.
you've given somebody an option of paying a tax, or you've given somebody an option of rectifying the pollution. And if it's not done, then of course,
Yeah.
you can
Then punish them.
Yeah.
Punish them, yes. Give them fines. Give them
Tax
hefty fines.
Tax them.
Tax the hell out of them.
If you
But
can
yeah,
afford to keep your vehicle and you want to keep your vehicle, pay a tax that can be used then to
green Delhi.
green Delhi, green the NCR, and make pollution a smaller problem. Thank you so much for watching. This was Connecting Rod. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
again, Rahul. Signing off.